so what we have here is a violin viola soft case. Now this particular one is a violin in this case, but if you have a soft case, we're going to kind of talk about how to open it up, what should be in there, how to store your instrument, and how to take it out, get ready to play. So first off, we're going to make sure that we have the strap facing down, the handle facing us. You might have a pouch on top, and that should be flat on the that should be on top. The bottom portion should be flat on the ground. Now when you lift this flap up, you should have two zippers, one on either side, or maybe just one zipper if it's a broken one, but hopefully it's not, especially if you're renting or purchased brand new. So once you zip it up all the way on the outside, you can open the case lid about a little over 90 degrees. And then once you have it over 90 degrees, you can see the inside, and you'll notice it won't fall back or forward. Now, you should have either one or two bows seated just in the case like so. You might have it in a plastic bag. Don't take it out. Not until I show you what to do with it. Now, if you're already taking it out, obviously I can't do anything about that. But what we have here are two little latches that turn horizontally and vertically. These keep the bows from moving around in the case. And there's actually a little pouch back here that the tip goes into. So remember we talked about the parts of the instrument. The stick is going to be towards the inside for both instruments, for both bows, and the tip will be inside this pouch, while the frog and adjusting screw on the opposite end. Now this little switch here, this little latch, goes between the bow hair and the stick towards the winding or the finger grip. Make sure it goes above the bow hair and the stick, and it's set in place. Now, this can happen in soft cases or hard cases. You have this like little velvet protective covering on top. It's called a dust cover. We can take that off and you see that the instrument inside. Now, in this case, we have a little strap over the neck. That's easy to do and figure out. We can just undo the strap and take the instrument out. You notice that there's only one way to put the instrument inside the case. This particular one has a shape that goes with the violin itself. And you'll notice that there's enough space for this particular case as well to hold your shoulder rest. So before we take the instrument out, I want to talk about another little compartment that this particular case has, and yours might have as well. This little compartment here can hold your rosin and your polishing cloth, or PEG compound if you have PEG compound. You don't necessarily need PEG compound, but you might have it already with you. Also, I'm going to check on the opposite side if you have this pouch. This little pouch here is not for your music or your books or anything like that. This is for other supplies, like an extra set of strings, another set of polishing cloths, or maybe you have some sheet music that you've been working on and you can put your notes in there. But do not put your book in there. It won't fit and it will probably mess it up. Oh, it will for sure mess it up. All right, so the first step to taking the instrument out is getting the shoulder rest out and making sure that we don't mess with the pegs, because it's right next to the pegs. Gently take out the shoulder rest, place it on the side, and then we're going to take off or undo the strap here. After that, it's released. We can take it out. Grab it by the neck with either hand, preferably your left hand, so I'm going to switch hands here, and then we can lift it up. Notice how the case flops down. That's going to happen because now it's top heavy with the bows. So we have the instrument out now with our left hand, and we can start going into what do we do after we have the instrument out and the shoulder rest out. Well, first, for us, in this case, we're going to put the velvet back inside. We're going to close our case. We don't have to zip it closed. This one has a little flap here with Velcro. You just close that. We'll place it off to the side. Now all we should have left is your shoulder rest and your instrument. Okay, so let's go into how we put on the shoulder rest. I'm going to stand up first. I'm going to place my instrument on the ground to show you how this works first. I'm going to place it always along the ridge here or on your chair on the back. But on the ground, just want it like that. So this shoulder rest here has little forks on either side. And these forks point inward, and they have a little curvature inside where the rib of the instrument along the back of the instrument is going to be clamped onto. Now you can adjust the height by screwing it in and out. Righty-tighty goes in, lefty-loosey comes up. These are very long screws, and you can adjust it however you want to for the shape of your shoulder. And I'm talking about your left shoulder. So if you don't know what your left shoulder is, you should make a L with both hands. The one that looks like a capital L is the left hand. That's for me, this one. For you, looking at the screen, you're probably thinking it's this one, but it's not, because it's a mirror. Anyways, you can also adjust some of these by turning the screws here on the middle, and then you can make them go inward or outward depending on the width of the lower bout of your instrument where the body is. Now, let's go into actually putting this on there, because this is adjusted for my shoulder and my playing ability. So, picking up the instrument, I'm going to hold the instrument by the neck with my left hand. I'm going to turn it to where I can see the bottom portion, the bottom back of the instrument, the lower bout. And I'm going to make sure that before I put the shoulder rest on, that I can read the logo right side up, and that the claws are facing inward. Read the logo right side up, claws are facing inward. Then all I do is take it, and we're going to start clipping on or just hooking one of the edges on here to the claw. And then this, you notice this side can't really fit into place right away, so we're going to just rotate it while it's still attached on the bottom and just slide it into place. You might need to use your body as a place to pull against. And that's all it takes. Another technique to do this with is to try to pop it into place, and I don't recommend that. I suggest the sliding is a little bit easier, though the popping is faster. You have to pull harder on the shoulder rest to bring it over, and that's not really conducive to keeping the health of your instrument, to stay longer without breaking. Or even your shoulder rest for that matter. So now that it's set in place, you'll notice that there's enough space where it's like pretty much directly in the middle of the lower bout. Now this may change a little bit depending on your shoulder shape and the height that you have it at, raising up above your shoulder to your chin. But that's something we can discuss when we do the private Zooms or we do our Zoom meetings, and I can show you what you probably need to do. All right, so now that we have the shoulder rest on, this is again for violins and violas, we're gonna start in the standing position like I'm here in the video. And I'm going to be holding the instrument by my left hand on the neck. I'm going to bring it down to my side, and step one is I'm going to turn my body to the right with my left toe pointed forward. So I'm going to turn my left toe pointed forward, and I'm going to bring my right foot back just a little bit and out. Back and out. For me, it's comfortable to stand this way. Now, it might be a little comfortable if you stand with your feet close together like so, but I don't recommend it because your knees get too straight and you might lose balance. So I'm going to turn my foot, again, left foot pointed forward, right foot pointed to the right, and holding the instrument in my left hand, keeping my body and my torso facing the same direction that my right foot is. I'm going to bring this instrument up out in front of me with the strings facing forward. Again, holding it with one hand by the neck. I'm going to take my right hand and slap it underneath by touching the button. You'll have to turn your body obviously for this because you have to reach your arm over. Then you're going to bring it upside down, flat to the ground. Notice how it's going right over my arm, my left arm. And then I'm going to just bring it in to where the button touches my neck. And you'll see how it cradles the shoulder rest on your shoulder. And there's a little spot here for your chin rest, right for your chin. And you can just maneuver it however it feels comfortable. Again, we want it on our shoulder. Notice how everything's pointed towards the camera right now. My toe, my nose, and the scroll are all pointed forward. I'm not having the instrument point in front of my chest. This is the chest, this is the collarbone. You want it over the shoulder. There's the collarbone, and your chin, you want it over the shoulder and the jaw, really, not your chin, the jaw. Okay, so I'm set in place. I'm gonna move my feet a little bit because I'm getting a little uncomfortable because that's not my perfect stance. This is my perfect stance right here for me. And notice that right now as I'm moving, I'm pushing down my jaw or my head into my shoulder, and I can hold it into place. And notice that I'm also pretty relaxed with my shoulders. All I'm really doing is putting my head down. I'm not lifting my shoulder up to create more pressure. If you're ended up doing that because you're afraid it's going to fall, just relax your shoulder. If the instrument starts to fall and your head starts going down farther than it should, like more than this, then possibly you need to make this shoulder rest longer by adjusting the screw length. Again, lefty-loosey makes it longer, righty-tighty makes it shorter. So it all depends on what your neck length is. There's no perfect measurement for everybody. It's very personal about what it is that works for you. Now, again, I'm gonna bring it into my shoulder and make the button touch my neck. Gonna make sure that I have my left hand now brought to the right upper bout, or the bout that's closest, that's farthest away and towards my body, not away to the left. My left hand goes to the right upper bout, and this will be our shoulder playing position because now we're gonna go into pizzicato. Taking my right hand, making an L, backwards L shape in this case, and then I'm gonna take my thumb and place it along the fingerboard towards the bridge. This is the bridge, this is the fingerboard. We want it somewhere here, on the side of the fingerboard, not underneath it. We're not trying to pull up on it. We're gonna push to the side of it. And then you're gonna take your index finger and grab either string with the tip of your finger, keeping your thumb in place as an anchor, pull that finger towards the thumb and flick the string. And we have a pluck, or a pizzicato. Now, the string that I'm plucking on the violin is the D string. If you have it in plucking position or playing position, now I have it tilted forward so you can see on the camera, but it's the 1, 2, 3, third string from your thumb. That's the D string on the violin. And we'll show you what the D string on the viola is and sounds like here in a second. But I'm going to show you now real quick what that looks like in the perfect upright playing position. Notice how my head is faced forward. I'm also not tilting my head down towards the ground. My shoulders still relaxed. I'm supporting the violin with my left hand and just playing, or pizzicato, plucking, with my right. Another tip to think about is when you're plucking, don't pluck up. Pluck again towards your thumb and let your finger land on the string that's under your finger before you plucked. So notice how I stopped it on the next string. And then finally, when you're done plucking, when you get to a rest or the song is over, a final bar line, you want to just touch the string to mute it. You'll notice that while you pluck, the string vibrates. Well, to make it stop vibrating, we gotta just touch it. And it stops the sound. Now, when you're done playing, you want to put it up back in the case. There's some steps to take. You pretty much just do everything in reverse. First, we're going to grab our case, put it out in front of us. Make sure that it's laid flat on its back. In this case, we have just the flap to open up the top. We're going to take off the dust cover. Once that's off, the first thing we need to take off of the instrument is, of course, the shoulder rest. Just slide it off. It's very simple. And then we take the instrument itself and place it with the back side down into this little violin-shaped section. We're going to undo the strap for the neck, gently place it in, strap it into place. Next, we're going to put the shoulder rest back in its little spot. Going to carefully place it in there without shoving, forcing anything. Once it's in place, shouldn't move at all. Take our dust cover, place it back on top, nice and gentle like. Close the lid, zip it back closed. Now, once you have it zipped closed, I like to have it over the handle to where this flap comes over. Latches into place, and then have the handle upright to move. Now, the cool thing about this case too, I didn't mention earlier, was that it has backpack straps. You can buy backpack straps or shoulder straps for your hard cases or soft cases. And what I suggest everybody gets, in fact, I encourage, in fact, I recommend, in fact, I want you to get these little name tags with your name on there, your phone number, and of course the school's phone numbers in case it gets lost or misplaced. We need a way to contact you to make sure it gets back into your hands. Make sure you get one of these name tags for your instrument. I'm being serious. People have very similar looking cases, and if you have an instrument that someone else plays and it's like the same brand, the same case, the same model, the only difference that we can tell is the name tag. Otherwise, you're going to take someone else's instrument. You open up the case when you get home, you're like, oh no, I took so-and-so's violin. And then the other person's like, oh yeah, that's I have your viola. Yeah, even though they're two different instruments, they're the same size, they have the same case. It's so weird, right? That's what happens. Label your stuff with your name. Okay, so in this video, we have a viola hard case. Notice the difference. It's not angled, it's very square or rectangular in shape. Yeah, it has curved corners, but it has no pockets on the outside and no backpack straps, just a handle and 2 latches, all right? So this can be a little confusing. Now, what I mean by that is, well, how do we lay it down on its back? How do we know which one's which? Well, luckily for some of these cases, the back has a little indentation here, or it might have like 4 or 3 little protruding little dots, something that tells you that this is what goes in the ground because this is what keeps it nice and clean or from getting damaged or scratched on the outside. This one is just for laying other cases on top of each other because the opposite side or the top of the case has that protruding side that's the opposite of the bottom side of the case. So the other way to tell is when you lay it down on either side, one side is going to have the latches where they go up and the handle is facing you on the bottom half. The handle is attached to the lower part of the case, not the upper part, and the latches have to go up over the top part of the case. So if you can flick the latches upward like so, then you have it right. If they don't come up and over like that, then your case is upside down. Now, we're going to lift this one open. This is a viola case again. This one's a little flimsy. Notice how this case's lid opens up a whole 180 degrees. So you got to make sure you have room in front of you when you're sitting down in the class, that you're not hitting something in front of you, the chair in front of you, or something slides out of place. Another thing to note is the placement of the bows. They're a little bit different, but the same exact kind of positioning. You have the tip of the bow along the pocket. You have the same mechanism, the little latch that goes horizontal between the stick and the bow here. This does have a container up top for your extra supplies, big enough to put your polishing cloth, your extra set of strings, your rosin, your peg compound, your tuner even, your metronome. And this one also has a little pouch, specific section for your shoulder rest. Now, this one does not have a little strap for your neck. This can fall out easily. So remember to always have it set on the ground appropriately so you don't have any damage to your instrument. Now I'm going to go and fast forward here and kind of show you where to go into a playing position for the viola. It's exactly the same as the violin. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right, and we're back. So now we're in the playing position for the viola, same position as the violin, right? My nose, my scroll, and my toe are pointing straight ahead. Now, for the viola, our D string is the second from the thumb. 1, 2. And we pluck it the same way that we did for the pizzicato on the violin. And there's our D string. Again, never pluck upward, pluck across. And then, of course, mute by touching the string. That's for the rest or the end of the piece. Especially when I do this, which means to cut off, stop playing. That's it. So you finally got your instrument. You're ready to play in class. You took it out of the locker and you want to go into seated position. You got to get ready to practice, to warm up and all that good stuff, right? And tune your instrument. So right now I have my case on the chair. I don't normally recommend this, but it's okay because it's in the case. It won't necessarily fall. It's nice and even on there, not one size over the other. What I do not recommend is laying your case upright against the back of the chair. That is easier to fall. That is easier for someone to knock down. and it's not as balanced, right? So it will fall, and maybe it won't break, but it will move in a lot of different things that are not held by glue, right, on the instrument, such as the sound post and the bridge. Those two things can move very easily if they're knocked down on the ground high enough off the ground. So even though this is only about maybe 24 inches off the ground, or maybe even less than that, this height will still shuffle a lot of things, including the bridge and the sound post. So we don't want that to happen, especially because the sound post, most importantly, is harder to put back into place. So we want to have it on its flat side on the chair. We're going to get into seated position now for the instrument for violin viola. I'm going to bring this case down in front of me as I sit in the chair, and this is how we take out the instrument of its case on the chair. So pretty much the same thing. We're just going to take it out like we did normally. In the standing position, we're just going to hold it in our lap a different way, and we're going to go fast forward in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so we got the instrument out. It's on our lap, and we have it in our left lap, holding it by the neck. Notice that I stopped the fast forward video because we're going to do something different with our case than what we did earlier. We're actually going to put our case along the right side of our chair, right here. And we're going to make sure it's scooted back a little bit so we have room for our feet. Now, yeah, we could put it under our chair, but more than half the time we're putting other stuff under our chair. We don't want to put the case there. So we'll put the case on the right side of our chair for now. So now we're going to get into a playing position from this position. This position is called rest position. We hold the violin viola on our lap, button on our left lap, neck in our left hand, strings facing outward. And of course, our right hand just chilling. So we're sitting up tall, ready to play. This is our ready rest position, right? We're just chilling. And then when I tell you to, we're going to go into playing position. And it follows the same steps. We're just going to do a few different things in the chair. First, we're going to make sure that we're seated on the front half of the chair, not back. We got to sit a little bit farther up, midway through the chair at least. Then we're going to turn our body by putting our left foot out in front in the middle of the chair, turning our body to the right. We're going to make a slight V shape here. Now, again, you want to line up the nose, the scroll, and the toe to the director, or in this case, the camera here. So we're going to do the same steps again. Here we go, slow motion. Now I'm just going to go faster. Now, again, we're in playing position, but now seated. We're sitting up tall, our right foot is along the right side of the chair, out away from us, and our left foot is pointed forward. Please do not try to place your feet together like so. Always have your right foot out. So here's another case that you might have. These little curved violin viola cases that are shaped like the instrument, and frankly, they don't have a lot of space. They don't have a lot of room inside. They follow the same rules as the rectangular cases. The upside of it is a little more obvious. So the top part of the case is very curved and sticks out just like where the bridge and the strings go through. And the bottom side has these 3 little protruding notches to tell you that it's the bottom of the case, and it's nice and much more flat than the opposite side. So we're going to lay it down on its back side. The latches, of course, come up just like the rectangular case, and the handle is on the bottom portion. So as we undo the latches and lift this up, we can see inside the case what the instrument looks like seated in here and what compartments we have. Well, there are not many, but there are 2 in this case. We have the top compartment here. Again, not very large, but enough to put at least your rosin and maybe a tiny Snarkman tuner. Maybe an extra set of strings, possibly if you shove them in there, but we don't want to do that ever. And then underneath the neck, we have another little compartment, again for rosin or some other pipe compound. Whatever kind of thing you can use to keep your instrument clean, but not much space in these cases. What you can do, obviously, there's no space for shoulder rest. So what you can do is buy a little pouch that they sell by D'Addario or by, preferably, I think it's ProTech that makes them. And this little shoulder rest case goes along the outside here, and it straps onto the handle. Or for this case, it has little shoulder strap rings, and you can hook it onto there. That way it can stay with your case, and you can put other supplies in there. It's like a big pencil pouch.
You could do a pencil pouch as well, I guess, if it's large enough to put your shoulder rest in. But that specific brand, ProTech, has one specifically made for a shoulder rest, and it has little extra compartments to put other stuff in there. So that way you can still use this case and not have to purchase a brand new case for your instrument. So yeah, this is the curved case.